What I want to start with, and I think this is a perfect opportunity to talk about this because there's so many people here, I want to talk real quick about consciousness. Does anybody, I have a definition already, but does anybody have a definition of what they think consciousness is?
Awareness?
That's my definition, you stole it.
Okay.
No, but I watched this video and it was pretty inspirational, and he was talking about consciousness, and he's talking about how there's this whole new wave of consciousness happening throughout the entire world, not just America, and I think it's also very specific to what's going on with health. I mean, so many people are becoming conscious of their health and wanting to eat better, and maybe realizing that there's other ways to be healthy and not necessarily blindly trusting in a system that's not working or using the best of different systems. But the definition of consciousness he gave was the awareness of being aware. And the way he described that is that it's more than just awareness, it's the awareness that you're aware. And an example of that is like, you know, if you're driving down the road, you might drive down the road and drive the same way to work 100 different times, and that one time you notice this beautiful building in the back that you never noticed before. Suddenly you're aware of that. Whatever you're focused on right now is what you're aware of. You know, you guys have chosen to be at this place at this time because your consciousness has led you to want to be aware about being healthier. So I just think that's awesome, and it's exciting, and we're just seeing it. I'm excited to see it in Kansas City, not just because I'm from here, but I came from Las Vegas where everybody's all crazy into health on the West Coast, and you know, we always talk about how everything's kind of slow to trickle into Kansas City, but there's a big, and I wasn't sure what the response was going to be when I first started here, but the response has just been huge, and it's awesome. So I'm just really glad you guys are here. It's exciting. Again, if you have questions, you know, just raise your hand. We'll address them. To recap just quickly, and again, these classes are supposed to be fairly specific to Candida and fungal issues, so we will talk specific about Candida and fungus. Did any of you miss like the first two classes? This is like the first one you've been to? A couple of you? Okay. I would encourage you to look back at the classes. They're all on the website now. On the website under education and then healing videos. I have a YouTube channel too. There's a Spirit of Health YouTube channel. And there's about, I think, 100 videos on there now from all the classes from last year and the ones we did over the last 2 weeks. So I really encourage you guys to check those out, because we explain Candida and fungus and what it is and why we get it and things of that nature. So I encourage you to check that out. A couple of things I want to talk about food. And I'm going to be re-emphasizing something I've already talked about, but when it comes to food, a couple of books that have been written by some guys, I think, from my studies and years of being in this business now, are right on. And I think it's all about acid-alkaline balance, pH, okay? Basically what that comes down is having proper oxygen and nutrients in your system. And again, I think I was giving the example of the pool before. I give the example now of a fish tank, okay? If you have a fish tank and you neglect, say the filter breaks or the filter gets full, you neglect to change the water, what happens? The fish starts to get kind of sick, and fish might even die. When the fish start to get sick, you don't analyze the fish and try to figure out, does he have a lung problem? Is he having liver failure? No, you just want to change the water, and the fish is healthy again. That's what we need to do with our bodies, okay? And one of the most important ways to do that is through the food you eat, day in and day out. It has to be alkalizing, nutritious, living food, or you're going to turn into that stagnant water. And then you're going to have a problem, and then you're going to want to try to fix it, and food's the way you can do that. But I always like to try to teach prevention. It's really hard to sell prevention, because nobody wants to prevent their illnesses. They want to, well, I shouldn't say nobody. You guys are here because you're conscious of this. But a lot of people, you know, they wait till they get sick before they make changes. You know, they're happy doing what they do, and that's fine with them. You know, again, it's just everybody determines or comes to this new level of consciousness at different times in their lives. So I'm just glad you guys are here now. A couple other things about food is that I think it's very important that we start to do more so than ever is prepare our own food. Okay, we're so used as a culture to being busy, being on the run, eating out at restaurants, going through drive-through, and again, it's part of this consciousness. If you actually grow the food yourself, that's ideally. If you grow the food yourself, buy the food yourself at the local farmer's market, talk to the farmers, find out how they grow their food, prepare the food yourself with your family. Whether you want to believe in energy and energetics and all that or not, that food's healthier. That food's better for you. The food appreciates it, you appreciate it. I don't want to sound all new agey, but there's definitely something to be said about it. So we really need to be focusing on preparing fresh food. It's funny, I talk to people, you know, I'll do some testing or something on people. I find out they're allergic or sensitive to corn or wheat or soy. They're like, well, how am I going to avoid those things? They're in everything. Well, you're right, they are in everything. It's in a box or a package. But if you go to the farmer's market or you grow your own food, you should never have to worry about there being soy or processed corn or these other types of things in it. So we really need to get back to doing that more. I think everyone agrees with that. I see some head nodding. And I know a lot of you guys do that, again, because you're here and you're conscious of these things. But encourage your fellow friends to do it, especially family time, making meals together and things like that. There's a lot of power in that. Some of the specific things I wanted to talk about today, I gave you a couple of handouts. The first one I gave you is just, it's honestly pretty general. The food rankings list. This is a list from -10 to +10. So it's 21 different levels of what the best foods are you can put in your body and the worst foods you can put in your body. You guys know I'm big on trying to get everybody off of soda. I think it's the most damaging thing we can put in our bodies. And I'm not going to go over this now. I just wanted to show it to you guys and give it to you as a reference. But when you go to the +10 side, the +9, +10 side, you'll see the best foods we can possibly put in our body. Quality water. It's the one on the top front that says
I don't have that.
Food matters.
It says food matters.
Here you go. Yep. There's a couple of them there. So yeah, we're not going to go over this. I just want to give it to you guys as a reference. But a lot of people are always like, I get asked so many questions. I mean, I start working with people and suddenly they're calling me being like, can I eat this? Can I eat this? I'm at a restaurant. Can I order this? And it's not... And if you have a serious health condition, yeah, you want to be really, really careful what you eat. But if you don't, it's not everything. You know, you don't have to have somebody give you a list of everything you can and can't eat. Again, unless you're dealing with really some type of very, very serious condition. But even if you are, if you follow this list and only eat the foods that are in the positive side, for the most part, you're going to be healthy. Again, good water, raw organic vegetables, raw organic fruits, raw organic nuts and seeds, raw herbs, plants, and whole food-based supplements. I mean, those are the best things you can put in your body. Okay, so I don't want to go into too much detail in that because I really want to talk about specific foods when it comes to high residue versus low residue. And I want to explain this again real quick. Most of you guys read the class last week where I kind of introduced this idea. And I'll just explain it again real quick and maybe in a little bit more detail. But low residue foods, easy to process, easy on the body, not burdensome on the system, plenty of vitamins and minerals and nutrients the body can use, and it's easily able to eliminate them. High residue foods, on the other hand, very laborious on the body. Doesn't mean they're horrible foods necessarily, but when we're talking specific to Candida and fungus, they can be very problematic. Okay, so again, this class is geared towards Candida fungal issues, so that's why that list is really important. So what happens with, and let me talk real quick about specifically about Candida and fungus. If you have an overgrowth of Candida, fungus, parasites, any of these types of infectious organisms, they're opportunistic. I mentioned that last week. that they're opportunistic. Okay, so when you eat high residue foods, Again, if your body can't process it and eliminate it immediately, and it sits around, these opportunistic organisms are going to feed on them. Okay? I think a lot of people, or any of you who have dealt with a real, true Candida issue, have probably noticed that. Where you eat starch, wheat, bread, dairy, something like that, and you get an immediate reaction. Immediate, gas, bloating, itchiness, allergies, things of that nature. So I'm sure a lot of you have already experienced that.